What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pre-Heresy and Codices Update Edition. And Pre-Heresy and Codices is the series in which I look at all the legions, and I have already, and the whole point was to give you my thoughts and viewpoints on representing that Pre-Heresy 30k Legion force utilizing a 40k post-Heresy Codex army list build meant for chapters. So that was the whole idea behind it, and still is. And this is just going to be an update for the legions that require an update, because even though I went over all 18 legions, there are legions that need an update because they didn't have any model support at the time, or they weren't in a book, and some legions still don't have model support, or are not in a book yet still. So there are legions that need an update. And like I mentioned in the overview ramble, I'm not going to be taking down the original ramble as I was initially thinking about doing and mentioned in the original rambles. They're going to stay up, and instead I'm going to have a second video for that legion put into the playlist. So this update is going to be for the Ultramarines Legion. They came out in book 5. That is their book from Forge World for the Pre-Heresy, Horus Heresy era time period. So book 5 from Forge World for the Horus Heresy series. Now, fluff-wise and color scheme-wise and the like, nothing's really changed drastically. Destroyer squads, for example, are black armored with blue markings and the like. So that's different from the standard color scheme, but nothing really stands out. Now, I never really subscribed to the idea that the Ultramarines are the vanilla Marines and the boring guys. I found them pretty interesting. I think there's more to them than people sometimes give them credit for, and it's a lot of the times it's done in good fun. It's just poking fun at it, but not like people seriously having a hatred of them. But there are people who just don't like the Ultramarines because they feel they're too vanilla, too boring, and opinions will vary. But I don't subscribe to that. I think there's more to them than some people give them credit for, and their Legion fluff definitely supports that. But there's nothing that is so mind-blowingly drastic that needs to be addressed here and now. So I'm going to save all the fluff stuff for you. If you want to read book 5, or if you're an Ultramarine fan, you want to purchase book 5 and read it, I think you'll enjoy the fluff, unless you just don't like Ultramarines, of course, in which case you probably won't. But there's just nothing in there that is so wow and out there that I need to address specifically. But it's all really cool stuff, how they became the largest legion, their Primarchs fluff, battle tactics and history and all that. Pretty cool fluff. Color scheme wise, it's the same deal. Blue armor, gold trim, white accenting for veteran stuff, for their commanders and lieutenants and all that. So it's a very cool color scheme. I mentioned that the destroyer squads being black armor with blue markings. And that aside, there really isn't anything that really stands out for the Ultramarines Legion color scheme wise than that. We don't know the Unification era color scheme. I'm going to just make the assumption it's basically the same as it is now. But if you want to have some accenting to your force, if you want to personalize your Ultramarines Legion force, then I recommend doing the Auroran example that I have, because in the book it makes mention of the 4th chapter of the Ultramarines Legion is the Aurorans, and the Aurorans would go on to become the Aurora chapter, a second founding Ultramarine successor. It doesn't say it in the book, but it's set up to be that. That's basically the confirmed status for the Auroran chapter of the Ultramarines Legion. And the Aurora chapter successor chapter is green. So you could do green shoulder pad trim, green knee pad, and so on, green accenting to your blue Ultramarines force. And when you think about it, 4th chapter, it's a green successor chapter. 4th company, the Ultramarines utilize green shoulder pad trim post-Heresy. It's kind of set up like that. So you could do something similar for other second founding successors if you want to, right? I think that's definitely a possibility. And it's nothing written or set in stone that way. It's just a suggestion I kind of came up with, an opinion of mine, to help you further personalize your Ultramarine Legion force. Add a little bit more pizzazz, if you will. Codex-wise, It's the Space Marine Codex, as you would come to expect. There's really no reason to look elsewhere. Even though the Codex has undergone an update, that is still the Codex to use. The Ultramarine chapter tactics are in there that you would make use of. The special characters for the Ultramarines that you would do accounts as of for your 30k Air Force, that's where they live as well. And the usual restrictions, the typical restrictions that I mentioned in the original ramble still apply, because we're talking about a pre-heresy force here, so there's some restrictions you have to put upon yourself and so on. So with that said, the bulk of this is going to be model support. Model support is going to be where it's at here in this ramble. Betrayal at Calth is a fantastic box set for any Legion, and if you're going to use it for the Ultramarines, considering that it's meant to represent Ultramarines versus Wordbearers, if you're going to build a box set to play the game that comes in there, you get to make more use of the box set, because in there are decals for both Legions, and since we're talking Ultramarines, you can make use of the Ultramarine Legion decals that come in the box set with the models that come in the box set, so that's pretty cool. From there, GW has the Ultramarine Upgrade Pack. This is a great pack for pre- or post-heresy Ultramarine collectors. For around the same price, and I say around because it's not exactly the same price, it actually turns out to be a bit cheaper here in the States to purchase the Ultramarine Upgrade Pack versus Forge World's sculpted shoulder pads. But for around the same price, you get 10 shoulder pads like you would from Forge World, but these are different shoulder pads, each one's a slightly different look, which is kind of cool. You get 2 power swords, one for the left hand, one for the right hand. You can put on one model or divvy it up. You get a sculpted front torso bit for the Ultramarines. You do get 2 Mark 7 helmets, which you can't make use of pre-heresy. No Mark 7 helmets and no Imperial Eagle chest emblems. Pre-heresy, really. But you do get on a helmeted head, and you get a Crusader helm. And you get an Ultramarine icon. So you get more for around the same price as Forge World's sculpted shoulder pads. Plus, you have a good chance of potentially still finding these in hobby stores. So that's pretty cool too. Now, it's definitely worth picking up, I'd say for sure. On the Forge World side of things, they show the Mark IV Venerable Dreadnought for the Ultramarines in the Heresy section of their website, but this is also in the 40k section of their website because it's been around way before the Horus Heresy thing was a thing with Forge World, and therefore it's a post-Heresy Dreadnought. But it's got the Mark IV look, so it fits. I personally wouldn't use it because of the Tyranid trophies and the like on it. But you could if you want to without the back banner, or you just play it off as random aliens. But that's just more for personal taste and preference. I personally wouldn't use it, but you could, and it definitely looks the part. You have the Primarch model. Now, you can't make use of the Primarch in a 40k army list build, at least not properly, right? But if you're a fan of the Ultramarines or whatever Legion, chances are you're going to want to collect the Primarch just to have it. And should you build a Forge World 30k army list for the Legion, then you can make use of him properly. But it's a cool model, so it's worth mentioning. So, the Ultramarines have a couple of unique squads, and one of those is represented in kit form, the Invictaris Caesarian Squad. This is a cool squad. I probably butchered the name. It's a 5-man squad with axes, or at least it comes as a 5-man kit with power axes and shields. The shields look really cool, and the way the kit goes together, the shield bit's separate from everything else. The arms are separate from the hand bits, and the torso and legs look to be one piece. So you can really customize this up. You can give it different hand bits. You can put the shield somewhere else entirely in your army list. So you could build it as is, so you can do double duty if you have both a 40k and a 30k list. You could build one as is for a captain, let's say, or something, or build a whole squad to be a Vanguard veteran squad as is. Or you could really customize it up and make each guy pretty unique looking and divvy up all of the bits across your army. Whatever you do, it'll be a pretty cool look. So this could also work post-heresy, but we're talking pre-heresy here, so that's why I'm mentioning it in a pre-heresy way. Also from Forge World, we have the Ultramarine Upgrade set. Now this is a set. You can buy each component separately, but I'm mentioning it as a set for simplicity's sake. You get Praetorian heads, Praetorian torsos, and you get Mark IV shoulder pads, 10 of each. Now there's only 5 different torso sculpts, so you get 2 of each torso. And these are the Praetorian variety. Very Ultramarine in look. You can divvy it up amongst your army to further reinforce that Ultramarine feel to your force. Outside of color scheme and all that, it'll help. and it's a cool look. On top of that, they have another set of head and torso stuff, the Invictari, which is meant to be more ornate for officers, commanders, HQ, command squad, and the like. The Invictari head upgrade and Invictari torso upgrade, 5 torsos or 10 heads. And you can mix and match that with the Praetorian stuff, with the Caesarian stuff, with the Ultramarine upgrade pack from GW, and have really cool looking Ultramarine models. So really nice that it's there. I would like to see this head and torso support, or head and shoulder pad support, or whatever it is that they can do for Cataphracti armor. I guess Tartaros too. I prefer Terminator Cataphracti armor, but I would like to see support for Terminator squads to get Legion upgrade bits. Some legions have Terminator support, but all legions make use of Terminators, even the White Scars and the Raven Guard, for example, during the Great Crusade and the Heresy time period. So it would be really cool to see some Terminator bits for all the legions, and I hope that comes in the future. Anyways, that's just a little rant there. I just like Terminators a lot, so it would be really cool to see Legion Terminator support for specific legions. And I suspect things like the Dark Angels and the Thousand Suns will get it. For sure, I would hope, but I think every legion deserves some Terminator support. Anyways, there's also Ultramarine icons and Ultramarine Rhine Outdoors and all that, which is very cool, but that's been around, so I'm not really going to just show it. It's been around on ForgeWorld's website for a while. But I saved the best for last, in my opinion. That's the Ultramarines Legion transfer sheet. This thing is a great transfer sheet. In fact, if ForgeWorld has a transfer sheet for whatever force you play, I highly recommend you purchase it. It's bigger than a sheet of paper by a little bit, so you get a lot of decals on there. And unless you're building a really specific quirky list, you only need that one sheet. You wouldn't need a second. And what's really cool about it is, in terms of the Ultramarines Legion transfer sheet and other Legion transfer sheets, is you get banner decals, vehicle decals, and infantry decals. And that's great, because you get full-on support for decals across the board for your forces. And sculpted details are great. Having really cool sculpted armor looks awesome, of course. The Caesarian shields, for example, look great, and that really helps emphasize the Ultramarine look and everything. But the transfers are really universal. It'll go on your vehicles, your infantry, your Terminators, your Dreadnoughts. I know that's a vehicle. It'll go on terrain. You'll go on your base if you need to for whatever reason. So that'll really help distinguish your force as Ultramarines across the board. Because, yeah, this Legion has kind of a unique color scheme, blue with gold trim, and other Legions do too. But there are plenty of other forces that have a similar look out there, especially post-Heresy, of course, with all the different chapters. So the transfer sheet is the definitive way to leave your mark on your force, so there's no confusing it with something else. Plus, I think it's your best bang for your buck from ForgeWorld because of how much you get and how you can use it across the board on all of your stuff. So that's my recommendation. If you only can buy one thing from ForgeWorld at the moment, make it the ForgeWorld transfer sheets, and the Ultramarine Legion transfer sheet is no exception. It was out of stock, but it does seem to be back in stock, so buy now, essentially. Anyways, I just like the transfer sheets, and all the Legion transfer sheets are pretty cool, and I suspect we'll see a transfer sheet for every Legion. It kind of seems to be the running theme. Just like Contemptor Dreadnoughts, but the Ultramarines don't have a Contemptor Dreadnought yet. I imagine they will eventually get one. Anyways, that's it for the Ultramarines. Thanks for sticking through this little update ramble. I know it kind of ran on, and I kind of went off on some tangents there, but hey, that's what I do. Anyways, this concludes the Ultramarines Legion update and the Ultramarine Legion completely for the Pre-Heresy and Codices ramble. They may get more stuff in the future, so may other Legions. It's just, if it happens, it happens. I won't be doing a third update for that. Anyways, that's it, so thanks for sticking through it. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it in the comment section. And until next time, take it easy.